All right, everybody, this is Mark again, and I'm coming to you live today. All right, I'll stop that. Hey, everybody, this is Mark again. I'm a volunteer with the Florida Department of Corrections, and I go in and I teach a class called Survival Series. I try and fill this class with information that the guys are going to find useful and helpful upon their release in order to make a successful transition from incarcerated to the land of the free. And in my first class that I went in, it was just basically an introduction of myself and the course outline, and the fellas all seemed real excited to hear from me and to attend the class, so that was encouraging. The very first class, actually, outside of the introduction, was called Getting Your Mind Right, and you can find that video elsewhere on my channel. The second class was Raising Your Personal Standards. If we're going to be better people, if they're going to have a successful transition, they need to change the way they think. They need to raise their personal standards, become men and women of integrity. And this would be, although the fourth class, it's actually the third lesson. And this one is on how to improve your relationships. I believe relationships are good, but I also believe trying to get into a relationship too quick or with the wrong person, it could really be a downfall. And I was trying to prepare them for that. And a whole lot of people get out of prison and they may be subject to their baser needs. They may get in a relationship searching for sex, or they may not even want a relationship. They just want sex, and then it may turn into a relationship and it wasn't even the right person. You know, they get with somebody who is toxic for them, or they get with somebody who is an addict, and it just leads them right back into their poor behavior. I know personally a few guys who got out and they got with, I'll just say, a non-quality chick, and it ruined their lives. It's real unfortunate. So before I got into housing solutions, how to repair your credit, any of that, I wanted to cover the topic of relationships. And I didn't want to go in on this day and tell them what they needed in a relationship. I wanted to ask them, because our relationships are personal. I wanted them to have some personal input into this. So I went in and I started by telling them, who you choose as your significant other is the most important decision you will make in your life. The person you choose to be your significant other is going to raise your kids. That person is going to have a profound effect on the decisions you make in every regard in life. That person is going to be there when you're down. That person is going to be there when you're up. And if you're attached at the hip to somebody who's a drain, who drains you emotionally, who drains you financially, who drains you spiritually, it's going to be impossible to rise up. So it was real important that I drive that point home. The person you choose to be in a relationship with is the most important decision you will ever make in your life. First thing to do is to get clarity on what type of people you do and do not want around you. So groupthink, I asked the question, what character traits are important to you that a partner possess? Some of the answers I got were honest, loving, caring, goal-oriented, ambition, a listener, empathetic, disciplined, easy to please, appreciative, someone who loves me or loves them, and shares like values. Now, for you watching at home, that's probably a pretty similar list to what you might value in a partner. What they didn't want in a partner is they didn't want to date cops. They didn't want to date somebody who was dishonest. They didn't want to date somebody who was messy, unkempt, unclean. They didn't want someone who was problem-oriented, someone dramatic, hypocritical, ungrateful, or violent. So what I told them after we had this group think was write down a list of character traits that you want in your partner. And if you have a suitable partner and you're evaluating them for a relationship status, if you see any of these character traits that are on your list of don't wants, then don't be with them. Don't say, well, she's got a lot of this and one of these. If they have character traits that are on your list of do not wants, then X them off the list. So what qualities do you think are important for a partner to have? And this is kind of similar to what character traits are important to you that a partner possess. Loyal, compatible, have common goals, credible, integrity, physically fit. One person in there said a U.S. citizen. One person said a sweet voice. Now let me stop right there, folks. Let me tell you about the importance of a sweet voice. Get you somebody who has a sweet voice, who has a sweet demeanor about them. It will make your day, when your day is going bad, it will make your day better. And when your day is already going good and you speak to them, it's going to make it exponentially better. I cannot express the importance enough of getting you somebody with a sweet voice. And it was interesting because I feel that way, but then some of the fellas there in the class had raised their hand and that's what they suggested. So if you get you somebody who answers the phone, hello, somebody said a foodie. They like to eat, they like to cook, and they wanted to share that with somebody. There was another group think question. What qualities do you think are important to have to be a good partner? Not to find in a partner, but for them to possess in order to present themselves to a good partner. That's important because not only are we looking for good partners, we're also looking to be a good partner. And some of that is to be employed, to be stable as far as your living situation, your finances, that kind of thing. They felt it was important to prioritize being a quality person, have an integrity, being honest, putting their partner first, have your own place. They felt it was important for them to have their own apartment or house or something like that before they brought somebody into their life. I thought that was very wise. They felt it was important to be honorable, to be resolute, to be physically fit and healthy. And they felt it was important for them to be a good listener. And they felt it was important to prioritize their partner's happiness. And this is how we started class, was speaking about these group think subjects. From there, I talked to them about a few things that I feel is important. I feel it's important to spend quality time face to face. You fall in love looking at and listening to each other. If you continue to look and listen in the same attentive ways, you can sustain the falling in love experience over the long term. I want you to think back when you was dating. When you was dating somebody, or when you do date somebody, you spend a lot of time talking to each other. You spend a lot of time listening to each other. The conversation's good and you can't hardly get off the phone with them. Many of you have experiences where you've talked to somebody all night long on the phone, can't wait to take them out to dinner, and you're sitting across the table and you're just talking and you're laughing and you're looking at each other and it's back and forth, it's give and take. If you continue that into your relationship, you can prolong that wonderful experience of falling in love with somebody, the whole course of your relationship. It's important to commit to spending some quality time together regularly. Now, we all have different schedules, and our schedules do not necessarily allow us to spend as much time with our significant other as we would like. But if you don't prioritize that time together, it will not be long and you will not have time together. You have to block it out, and you can't allow anything else to impede. if you have children, if you have careers, if you have hobbies, it's real easy to let time with each other slip in priority. But if you want to improve your relationship, if you want to have a better relationship, you will prioritize that time with each other. I would say block it off in the calendar. On Saturday night, after 5, I'm turning off my phone and I'm with my partner. Or maybe every night, after 7 o'clock at night when you're home, turn off your phone. Don't get lost into Facebook, into Twitter, into TikTok, into Snapchat, and all of those things. Don't do it. Just turn off the phone and spend time with your partner. Now, that schedule's not going to work for everybody, but the point applies to everybody. If you want to improve your relationship, if you want to be a better partner, you must prioritize time with your partner. Period. You can do this by finding something that you enjoy doing together. You can try new things together. Me and my wife like to go out and check out new restaurants and do things that benefit the other one. Like maybe your partner gets home from work and you give them a massage. Maybe you're a fella and you're dating a chick. Maybe do her nails for her. You know, give her a little French manicure or do a little pedicure for her, or do something that benefits your partner routinely. Stay connected through communication. Tell your partner what you need. Don't make them guess. When you make them guess, you put expectations on your partner that your partner isn't aware of, and then they fail to meet your expectations, and you become upset and disappointed because they're not meeting your expectations. But it's unfair of you because you never express what your expectations are. You can avoid all that if you just tell your partner what you want from them. Be a good listener. A lot of times, people will begin to speak, and their partner will interrupt and want to tell them something. Don't do that. Listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because we're supposed to listen twice as much as we talk. Learn to give and take in your relationship. Recognize what's important to your partner, and don't make winning your goal. I can remember when I first got married back in 2006 to my first wife. We had gotten to a little argument one night, and I proved my point in the argument. And the next day, I was working with my dad, and he came to pick me up, and I was riding with him to the job site. And I was telling my dad about the little spat we had. And I was telling him how I was right and she was wrong. And my dad gave me some real helpful advice. He told me, he said, "Son, you have to be real careful in your relationship trying to prove your point." He says, "You may prove your point and prove that you're right and win the argument. But when you do that, you're going to break your partner down. And the more you do that, the more you break your partner down. And the more you break her down, the more she's going to harbor resentment against you. It's not about being right. It's not about blame. It's about coming to a mutual understanding. You don't want to win against your partner. You're not in competition with your partner. The two of you win together, or you both lose." That was profound, and I have never forgot that. And moving forward, now, am I perfect with that? Do I implement that without flaw? No, I don't. But I do often remember it, and I do often practice it, and I do often try not to win, but just to explain or to seek clarity. And if we don't both win, then we both lose. Period. Learn how to respectfully resolve conflict. You're going to have conflict. It's going to happen. How you do that is like this. Keep the focus on the issue at hand and respect the other person. Don't start arguments over things that cannot be changed. I won't elaborate, but I will repeat that. Keep the focus on the issue at hand and respect the other person. Don't start arguments over things that cannot be changed. Don't attack someone directly, but use I statements to communicate how you feel. For example, instead of saying, "You make me feel bad," try, "When you do that, it hurts me." That's not putting any blame. It's just explaining. It keeps the conflict down. Don't drag old arguments into the mix. Rather than looking to past conflicts and grudges or assigning blame, focus on what you can do in the here and now to solve the problem. There's a lot of times that couples will just want to get caught up in venting, and they'll drag up all kind of things that have happened in the past and they bring it into today, and that's a non-winnable solution. It doesn't work. Focus on the here and now. Okay, I understand what happened. How can we fix it? How do we move forward? But let's not continue to rehash that. Let's just talk about what the issue is now and what we can do to fix it. That's solution oriented. It keeps the relationship moving forward. Here's a huge one. Huge one. Be willing to forgive and cover your partner in grace. Believe me, you're going to need them to do the same to you. Have understanding, have empathy. And understand, at the end of the day, the two of you are on the same team. The two of you love each other. The two of you are sharing your life together. Unforgiveness has no place in that. Resolving conflict is impossible if you don't forgive each other. If tempers flare, take a break. You don't want to get emotionally upset and begin to say things that you really are going to regret. I get the opportunity to practice this often. I am married and I love my wife and I adore her. But sometimes she will just really upset me. And I try to walk out the house. I try to give her some space. I try to take some space when this occurs, because we need to bring the temperature down. Because when the temperature's way up here, you can't talk, you can't resolve anything. You got to bring the temperature down. Then have your conversation. And this works, and that principle applies to all relationships. You cannot accomplish anything while tempers are flaring. That's when to give each other some space. Always remember, in the middle of an argument with your partner, you are arguing with somebody you love. You don't want to use hurtful words. Know when to let something go. If you can't agree, then agree to disagree. It takes two people to keep an argument going. If the conflict is going nowhere, choose to disengage and move on. And you might say, well, it's not resolved. Well, maybe it's not to be resolved on that day. There are times when you just have to take a step back and let it all go. Ups and downs happen. Don't take your problems out on your partner. Be open to change. You are not always right. You don't know everything. And the world is ever evolving and ever changing. You must also be open to change. And if you need help, if you need outside help for your relationship, then reach out together. Do not go seek help by yourself. Oftentimes that leads to disastrous consequences. Maybe your problems at home with your partner, you carry them into work, and there might be an attractive coworker who is more than willing to listen. That's trouble. If you need help, if you need counseling, if you need advice, if if you need therapy, then the two of you reach out together to solve that. And if you thought that was great, I got a whole book here that was written by my wife and I when we first got married. It's part of my Up Your Averages series, and it's a daily guide to improving your personal relationship. And it kind of reads like a daily devotional, and it's for couples. It's just 1 page a day with an inspiring image. And this is available here on my website, markwcast.com. And when I come back, I am going to be talking about employment solutions for felons. So y'all stay tuned. Thank you. Up Your Averages.